So this person on Tumblr called Epic Mischief wrote a really good analysis of the When Harry Met Sammy video, and I kind of want to read it out loud because I really think that it needs to be said and addressed, because this person said it much better than I could ever say it. So basically, it's being played up like it's a flirty interview, and something might actually be going on with the interviewer and Harry. Evidence for this is a claim that he kissed her on the cheek when they first met. That's how you greet anyone. Plus, the kiss wasn't actually shown. She says the story is even hitting the tabloids in the UK, and the presenter beside her says, then it must be true. It started with a kiss? Pixar didn't happen. Introductory montage. Privacy isn't on the cards for the boys. No judgment, just a fact. And implies that whatever is going on in their private lives is de facto in the public domain, that they have no secrets because the press won't let them have any. It's a point that keeps coming up, the lack of privacy they have, but how true is it? Claims are that this interview, Harry was flirting shamelessly with Sammy, but actually watching it, it's quite the other way around. She gives Niall and Harry golf balls, then tells them that she likes playing golf. She gives Liam underwear, and then asks what he would look like under his t-shirt. Given the age difference between them, it's really quite creepy. She shows Harry the magazine, my brother, depicting the rumors about him and Louis. I've got to ask you about this one. Why has she got to do anything? Who stipulated that? Is this another Much Music interview with management attempting to quell rumors that are growing in the momentum? Was she put up to it by Modest when other interviewers have admitted to being forbidden to ask about Larry? Also, Sammy states that there are two rumors at work here. One, they're splitting up, and two, Larry. She simply says they deny splitting up, like it's not all that important. But hello, the viability of the band is, I'm sorry, a much bigger deal than whether or not Louis is boning Harry. When the question is asked and the magazine spread shown, Harry squints at the photos and surreptitiously rubs his palms on his thighs. The question makes him uncomfortable. Once his palms are dry, he clasps his hands between his knees and doesn't move them, remaining pretty rigid in that position for the duration of the question. He's nervous. Harry's initial reaction is to check the images before confirming or denying anything, when surely, if there was no possibility of there being any pictures of him and Louis kissing, his first reaction would be an automatic denial. Like he would immediately deny it, but instead he leans forward to check, and of the 6 photos shown, only one of them is real, the one of Harry whispering in Louis' ear, and they look like they're about to find a private room and go at it, before declaring that is photoshopped. There was a lady. He's talking about one specific image out of 6 or more that were in the magazine. The denial of one image is taken to be a denial of them all, but actually it isn't. Liam leans forward and begins explaining how the images are manipulated with the person in the middle being taken out, so it looks like they're kissing each other. Leaning forward effectively blocks Harry from forming a protective barrier around him. As Niall is already leaning forward, the effect is like they're closing ranks. They've moved the conversation from whether or not there's anything going on between Louis and Harry to discussing one specific image and explaining how it's being faked. Liam also says that there are similar images have been created of him and Niall. Why not Zayn? Sammy moves the interview back to the issue of Harry and Louis, asking, there's nothing going on there. There's nothing going on, is there? It's a very leading question, phrased in the negative, as though she's prompting him to deny it. She also shakes her head as she's asking, and her tone becomes very strained. Harry responds in the negative, a brief accompanied by a shake of his head. His jaw twitches and swallows visibly. It's all suggestive of him being uncomfortable with what he's saying, and there's also some I can't talk. And there's also some ambiguity to his answer because the question was posed in the negative, making his answer a double negative. Is he saying no, there's nothing going on, or no, she's wrong about nothing going on? Liam then jumps in with a joke, it's just me and Niall, which deflects the attention from Harry and puts it on the other two members of the group who are there. Classic deflection technique. If you don't want to talk about one subject, segue it into another, more interesting one, slightly related, and off you go on a new topic. Next question starts with a prompt about Harry's comparison to a young Casanova with a thing for older women. Apparently, they have forgotten that Casanova was bisexual. She continues, speaking of girls, Harry, do you like older? Again, her voice is strained, and she's very slowly asking the question, leaving a significant pause between like and older, that both Niall and Harry reply that they assumed the question was, do you like girls? Sammy then backtracks and rephrases, asking if he likes older women. But the question was probably deliberately misleading for a reason. She has, after all, just asked if he's having an affair with another man, so the obvious follow-up to that is, are you gay? Unless, of course, she's been forbidden to ask that. Her phrasing of the question was a good way of asking without seeming to ask it. Harry's response is also interesting. His speech is very slow and stilted. He pauses every couple of words to give himself time to think through the answer. His eyes are wide and fixed, and he looks off to the side, as though checking with someone that he's answering correctly. It's not about how old someone is. I don't like old women. It's not some weird thing. It depends who I get on with, if they're a little bit older than me. Also, the start of his answer, I like, he's thinking way too hard about how to phrase this. What are the possibilities that answer could be? I like someone is only gender-neutral possibility, and I'm betting after much speculation about Larry, management has instructed him not to use such generic pronouns, and yet he still does in this answer, albeit less obviously. The other possibilities are, I like a person, or I like a guy/girl. The last one is, of course, a confirmation one way or the other, and the person sounds too weird to be natural. In person sounds too weird to be natural. So he stops, rephrases, and still ends up using someone. The most noticeable thing about his speech is the lack of gendered pronouns, he/she, etc. But he talks in neutral terms, someone, they, etc., as per usual. He also indicates dating someone a little bit older than he is, but the women Sammy was referring to are almost twice Harry's age, hardly a little bit older. Yet, that's exactly how much older Louis is. Not to mention the fact that after he says, I don't like old women, it's not like a weird thing, he looks to Niall and Liam as if for approval. He's not at all confident in how his answer is being perceived, and they're his backup, his protection against invasive questions like this. And right on cue, Liam chimes in with some smart-ass comment. I think he does. Perhaps a tone there to indicate the absurdity of the question won't die. Harry's evasion is noted again when the clip cuts back to the studio with another presenter saying he dodged that one, didn't he? Dodged around that one, didn't he? He goes on to say that they're putting the uncut interview online, but Sammy says she isn't sure that they will, that they have to check with the producer first. For what possible reason would a TV show not use more footage of 1D interview if they had it? Why would a producer say no to that? Unless someone else was controlling what they could and couldn't show. So yeah, it's the most definitive denial to date, but what's he denying? The answer is confusing because the question was framed in a confusing manner. One interesting thing to note as well is a typically anti-Larry rag. The Daily Mail wrote an article pointing out that the flirting Sammy claimed actually went in both directions. I'm sorry, I don't see her flirting with Harry or him flirting with her. It's all Liam in this one clip. There's also a quote in there from Louis about some people genuinely believing in Larry. which we've all seen before and know is no denial. Also, the last photo's caption describes Eleanor as an off girlfriend, which is odd for that publication. What's going on? Less snarky about Larry and less convinced about the substantiality of Eleanor. Is someone at Daily Mail being convinced? And that is it. So that was me reading that analysis, but I figured it would be a good thing to kind of make into a video because I agree with that on many levels, and I think it's something to really take into consideration. Yay for analyses. Larry is still real.